celebrated panelists, welcome to the discussion topic today, Future of the Agile PMO. I'd like to go ahead and allow the panelists to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about who you are. And let's go in the order of the pictures. So Nestor, you're the lucky first.
Great, I love being first, Regina, thank you. So again, first I'd like to say, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for, this is my first experience with the South Florida Agile Sales Association, and it's an honor to, to be here. I'm in sunny South Florida with TrackPhone Wireless, 20 years with the organization. I'm going to say, the bad word. I'm a traditionalist, PMP, PMI certified. Originally, over the last 3+ years, I've gone through this amazing journey, and I'm proud to say I am now, an Agilist, and proud of it, and happy to be here.
Awesome. Welcome, Nestor.
Oh, sorry, and I head up the project office within TrackPhone.
Awesome. Thank you, Nestor. Roberto?
Hi, Regina, Rick, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity, first of all. I think it's a great topic to discuss. So I am part of the Bank United organization. I am the head of the PMO for Bank United. I've been there, for the last 3 years as a head of PMO, been for 2 years already. So this is a great opportunity, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Roberto. Jessica?
Hi guys, hi everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Regina and Rick. I'm Jess Elias. I'm here in Miami, Florida. I am currently the head of PMO for Reef Technology. I joined in August of 2020. I was formerly the EPMO director for City National Bank of Florida.
All right, Jessica, happy to have you. All right, Felipe.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for this great opportunity. My name is Felipe Espinosa. I'm the Director of Portfolio and Project Management Office at Southern Glaciers Wine and Spirits. So please don't forget to open your bottles of our Irish whiskey for today and celebrate. I've been with Southern for about 5-6 years now. I hold my PMP. I've also been in my journey as an Agilist for the last too many years to count. I need 2 hands now to count, and I'm very pleased to be here.
Welcome. Thank you, Felipe. Vinita.
Hi, everyone. My name is Vinita. Thank you, first of all, Rick and Regina, and thank you for all of you to be here. I think this is a great opportunity for us as panelists to be talking on this great topic. So I have been with Ryder for last 4 years, heading the Agile Transformation and the Project Management Office, along with some other areas. And it has been a great journey, and very excited to share the learnings and learn from you guys.
All right, welcome. We're very excited to have all of you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Okay, now down to the great topics. Each of you have about 1 minute and 30 seconds. I'm going to time this a little bit less because we are going to give you each the opportunity to sort of talk to us about, now that your organizations have started their Agile transformation, right? Can you share, why did your organization make the decision, and what pain points were they trying to address? So let's start out here with Roberto.
Okay, thank you, Regina. Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start just mentioning, Regina, and people. So it's like when I really joined the bank, 3 years ago, this topic being already handled, basically. So it was I founded that the head of the software development was the person just really, moving forward with the why we really need to move into this Agile, the way of working or mindset in the organization. So then as soon as I get it, at the very, very early stages, he invited me to participate into this. And I was asking the same question to him. So he was very clarifying me that some of the reasons being just to increase, the effectiveness and the efficiency by breaking down the silos in the organization and eliminating some of the bureaucracy that are normal in traditional, organizations, and to improve the time to market, as we've been facing issues, in the execution of the changes or long waits, for releases. So that was another reason. Obviously, going into the improving the team engagement and attract and retain the new talent that we usually be having for a digital organization that we're also transforming into that area as well. Finally, just to improve customer satisfaction as a consequence of everything. So that was a very good, 4 points just to summarize, the why. And the pain points that we've been facing being basically in alignment with the why. So we've been facing, several silos internally, still, dealing with that during this transformation, like facing, some difficult to execute changes in traditional projects, going into all the change management process, and everything was, a little painful for us to move faster. And just waiting, too long just to release a solution that we've been having for a specific project. So this is in summary why we've been having and what are the pain points.
Okay, thank you so much. Vinita, would you like to share with us?
Sure. So for Ryder, when I came on board as an enterprise agile coach, organization was very clear that they were on this agile transformation. They wanted to initiate that, and the pain points at the time that we were able to address with some initial pilots, and then after once we started on the agile transformation, are improving our time to market. So that has been a major one for Ryder, also because we are in such a competitive space where a lot of industry disruptors, and we want to make sure we are out there fast, the innovation. So Ryder has been going on transformation in various areas, and Agile is one part of that. So definitely, improve the time to market was a major one, and also to really enhance the relationship of IT and business, and making sure that they are working hand in hand and owning together the accountability of these initiatives moving forward. And the big one was also around how to incorporate customer feedback and create that loop for feedback with everything that we are working on every single delivery. So those were some of the pain points that we tried to address initially, and of course, we have made huge progress there. But yeah, that's kind of a little story from Ryder.
Okay, thank you so much. Jessica?
So really, we're actually, as a tech company, a startup, we're in a build mode. So I don't know that we really decided on doing an agile transformation. I think we're just in a huge hyper growth, phase of building out our company. And in order to do that, we had purchased a bunch of other parking companies. And so we needed to align everyone around the company's purpose, the direction, the strategy, and also execute and implement the company's priority initiatives. So I really think that our goal, we're more what we're calling mission control, like what's needed at NASA to launch into space versus a true PMO, right? We are super agile in nature as a company. And so I think that's why we've decided to do a transformation to help the whole team grow and understand what those strategies are. I think the pain points are similar to what everyone else is saying. Siloed teams, duplicate effort, conflicting initiatives that are not aligned with the company's vision. How many times do you find POs or people doing projects that have nothing to do with what the actual goals of the company should be, right? They're not supported. So it's really aligning those together.
Okay, thank you. Wonderful. We've got Felipe.
We started this journey seriously in late 2018 when we were faced with a very transformational initiative, multi-year, multi-million-dollar initiative. And we had business running left, IT running right. Our partners that we had partnered, our statements of work with our third-party vendors, they were running straight. We were all running in a different direction. And we really needed to find a different way of working, kind of bring everybody together. By aligning around this, we were able to get through where we are today. And so now we're trying to take the lessons learned that we've done and apply them across our different portfolios. And so really our pain points, the why as well we did it is because we had no other option. We were working in different ways, and we were asked to deliver on a very critical initiative without knowing that COVID was coming. That has helped us stay our ground and continue to be a market leader in our space because we did things in the right way. The silos is really just breaking across. We finally have one table with business, technical people, and everybody across the organization sitting at the same table, prioritizing the same work. So it's been pretty awesome to see.
Awesome. Thank you, Felipe. Nes?
So I gave this a lot of thought, right? Because the obvious answers are we needed to move quickly and remain agile. But at the core of this, it was really culture. It was really no. If you know, I've been at TrackRoom for 20 years, and we have a legacy culture of, let's just call it a challenging culture. So the three plus years ago, almost 4 years ago, there was a radical change within the organization, and it became about people at the center. And we developed, what we call our track values, which is, trust, respect, accountability, and collaboration. And Agile, you look at that manifesto, that's what it's about. It's about, track, trust, respect, accountability, collaboration. Everything else starts following. So a lot of our successes were built on developing that culture and continuing to expand that culture. And we have examples through, you go to our building and it's a tapestry right now of half the building is our legacy, siloed, everything we just talked about, the old 1970 bank cubicles. And you go to the other half of the building where it was paused because of COVID. You have this wide open space, collaborative environment. You walk between the two sides, you see a buzz on the north side, which is where the Agile space is at. You see a collaboration just never experienced within the organization. You go to the right side, you still got, the south side, you got still people in cubicles, kind of headsets on, working their own. So it's really a picture to watch. And the culture and that mindset is what really evolved, has continued to evolve our journey, even through the COVID. Prior to our agility journey, we weren't even talking about working from home. Now it's like, okay, when we come back, if we come back, are we coming back for one day? Are you coming back for you're just going to work from home? That's the mindset that Agile has brought us. And just to finish off, we have a new building that we built, and that building has been transformed into a whole building of an Agile space with a putting green. It's just amazing. And that was, to me, Agile and that cultural mindset is is the reason that we went with Agile.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all. We're going to move on to the next question. What is the role of the PMO in the Agile organizations that you're at? I'm going to start out with Anita. Anita, would you like to share?
Sure. So for us, the PMO role changes and it evolves as the organization is maturing on the path to business agility. Our PMO at Ryder we have a long proven history. Actually, I should say the PMO before I came and even now, right? So they have a long proven history with our IT and business partners. The trust and the relationship that they have built with the internal customers really supported us with the launch of the Agile practices, the frameworks, the education, the training, everything. The PMs hold in Ryder, the PMs have a very strong financial and business acumen, and one of the major roles that they played and we have been playing there now is kind of that managing that project intake process and also managing interdepartment dependencies. So all of that really helped us in starting with the Agile and kind of using the trust that we had and spreading and implementing the agile practice at Ryder.
Thank you. Felipe?
So my company, our PMO, is in our own evolution. We have been very traditional in our toll gates and the way you enter it into project initiation, into execution, and eventually closure, including our portfolio, is very much like that. We've been evolving now to changing that, to becoming a center of enablement, to move away from control and helping to be more servant leaders, bring in some of those principles that we've learned from the manifesto. As we, Agile just celebrated the 20 years, we're bringing that in, and we're starting to change and helping to do that. And even though we're still traditional, we are sprinkling in these principles that really work and helping move folks to that. We don't have our relationship with the business side struggles, depending on which side. So we're trying to be more transparent and provide services versus, this is the security checkpoint that you must come in before anything else. So we're trying to do that.
Okay, awesome. Roberto.
Sure. So yeah, well, at the bank, we've been obviously moving or absorbing, roles in the agile way. So like Scrum Masters, project managers becoming Scrum Masters, but project managers also becoming, or program managers becoming more kind of agile coaches internally, transforming in that way. But in reality, we've been just evolving into three main, roles internally. So having agile supporter, from the PMO. So it's basically enhancing the knowledge of the agile methods and removing, process-related impediments to agile execution. So just recently, we've been updating our PMO SOP, the standard operating procedures, into something that is becoming more agile, as part of the procedure, and start distributing among all or socializing among all the different line of business, and start are also inviting all the other Scrum Masters that are not really part of the PMO organization, but they are performing that role in some cases. So they are following this SOP. Also supporting the continuous learning and adopting, agile mindset, kind of walking the walk, making easy just for the teams and stakeholders to use this agile consistently. So also we're having another role that is the agile promoter. So in that case, the PMO is really, helping to drive a mindset shift by addressing, any stakeholder resistance to adopting the agile methods. So we're enabling teams to develop agile way of working and the mindset, helping the program and project managers just to become in this agile environment, and preparing, business partners to engage more with the agile projects. And finally, we have the third role, that is the agile orchestrator. So it's the PMO will redesigning, the portfolio management and governance. So this is something that we're just planning to start implementing now, the lean portfolio management at the PMO, and start also adapting the more like the program, mindset, a new governance approach, just to coordinate across the multi-methodology portfolios that we're going to be having. So we're having a hybrid PMO, basically using agile, but also keeping some traditional, way of working in specific cases. Just redesigning these governance frameworks is to prioritize rapid decision-making in the organization, supporting, restructuring the funding model. That is something that we're working very close with the CFO organization at this moment, just to make sure that whatever new product is coming into the picture, we just can be, funding this in the product-oriented way. Helping agile teams just to identify and mitigating the dependencies is something that we're also part of the lean portfolio management as a new way of working. So this, in summary, is how we're evolving the roles internally.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to move on to the next one, which is it's a continuation of the question that you guys just answered. So Nestor, I'm going to throw this one at you. What were some of the immediate changes implemented by the PMO in your transition from waterfall to agile?
So I would say again, I'm going to go back to the mindset. We're in a continual journey. We're in a continual evolution. So from an agile practices perspective, we're continuing to leverage, those techniques. However, the immediate impact, is a mindset. We as project managers, as traditional, we were a traditional shop, like was just explained, multiple gates. It was a command and control mindset, and transitioning to a servant leadership. We moving from what we're calling now leading from behind, but moving to that mindset is not easy, right? It has not been an easy journey for some of our project managers. We then have evolved and transitioned into Scrum Masters or release train engineers or even portfolio managers. But that mindset, being able to go from a command and control to a servant leadership, is one of the immediate changes that we saw as part of our transition from a waterfall. Organizing around the team, right? Making the team the focal point. Removing leadership from the tactical decision making. Yes, leadership, tactically making decisions. In my years at TrackPhone, it was not uncommon to be at a project level and have a CEO of an $8 billion company being part of this decision making. That was hard. That was a hard transition to move those leaders away from that. And it's really about letting the team, enabling the team to make those decisions. Again, the transition was not easy. It's still ongoing, even 3 years into it. But I could honestly say that anybody that has been part of our TrackPhone history and this journey says this is unbelievable, because again, and it goes back to what I said in the very beginning about people and culture, and that's what this agile journey has really enabled TrackPhone to continue to evolve and reach its objectives. The payoff has been great, right? We now are able to, fail, and you hear the thing, fail fast, right? But, we like to say, fail, learn, and move forward, right? And then rinse and repeat. So that's, I would say the immediate change would be that mindset from that command and control to being that servant.
And Nestor, let me ask you a question, because you mentioned this before. Were you traditionally shared resource project teams? Did that change?
Well, so we were 100%, let's lift up a team to do a project. Let's execute it for a year and a half, deliver it at the very end. And by the way, I asked for a box. I ended up with a triangle, what have you. So we were at 100%. Now I would say, Andres, which is the head of our transformation, one of our coaches, I would say we're probably 70%, 75 to 80% agile teams. We still have some shared teams and traditional, based on the project. But our goal is to continue to raise that bar to be fully an agile organization.
All right, awesome. Thank you. Jessica.
First, I want to say I agree with everything Nestor said. I think that's really important to do that transition to decentralize. For us, as I mentioned already, we're a startup, so very different from my old world, working at a traditional waterfall PMO within an organization like a bank, to coming into this situation where we didn't really have traditional waterfall before, so there's not really a transition to agile. We're just, okay, now we're hyper growth and we need to be agile. So it's figuring it out as we go. But the organization did have segmented project managers, which were recently centralized to the corporate PMO. And we are in the process now of what we're calling productizing our PMO services for internal clients. So I know some of you talked about servant leadership. How do we create that servant leadership? How do we provide products to our internal clients? So that's the transition we're trying to make right now.
Awesome. Roberto?
Well, in my case, I'm going to be separating these, changes being implemented in the PMO in three, main areas. Like a first one, I started developing a 3-year plan for the evolution that we've been having internally in the PMO. and support the transformation just to bring value to the business. Meaning as being part also of the Agile transformation team that we formed in the bank. So I've been like aligning between the both of both teams, basically just to make sure that this evolution of the PMO is in aligning with the transformation that we're making now. So secondly, based on the opportunity just to keep all the PMs training as and certified as Scrum Masters and product owners, just to make sure that we have the baseline in the company, just to keep moving in this transformation from the PMO point of view. Basically, the third one is aligning the strategy, that being created to engage an engagement model between the Agile transformation team that I just mentioned, the BRM, which is the business relationship management team, and the enterprise architecture. So we're having this engagement between the four teams basically, and we are just like aligning with the strategy of the bank, making sure that everything is, all the strategic initiatives that we're having are going to be just completed in agile way, and just delivering value, faster to the bank.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. So this one's a little bit interesting. This is specific to the PMO roles and responsibilities, right? I'm going to kind of open it up to see who wants to answer this one. So your traditional roles of project managers, program managers, portfolio managers, how have they changed? Have titles changed? Have roles and responsibilities changed? Are they still within the PMO? Are you calling them something different? What has been the approach? Have they changed? What have they changed to? What has been the approach, and what has been your lesson learned from the changes in those roles? I'm going to open it up to see who wants to answer this.
I can start, Regina. We've started to we haven't done any transitions, meaning PM to Scrum Master, title changes. We still have project managers. We've added Scrum Masters, RTE, product owners, and product managers to our roster of titles, and we've been working very closely with our leadership team to create HR and our internal leaders to create career trellises for these roles. So if you want to be a PM, what skills do you need to earn to move on to a Scrum Master, or a Scrum Master that wants to come into the traditional side, or right? The RTE is a special one. We have, and actually one of our former RTEs is on a call today. She's currently leading our LACE, our leadership team in implementing the LACE within our organization. And so we've been very careful in that role, that role is not just given to anybody, but that you've kind of met certain criteria as to the servant leadership role and the skills that you require to be the RTE. It's not, oh, you've been with the organization 10 years, great, here's the RTE role, right? Just kind of making sure you're growing to that and you have the right skills. I think that has been our path, is working with the right leaders to bring them in and have coexistence within these roles, and not make it that the BA is one that has struggled, right? That there is no BA role in an Agile team per se. There isn't, that title that's that BA and wants to continue that career path, or likes that title, or has kind of embraced that title, to show them that it's okay, that this is your journey that you can get to, and not make anybody feel like tomorrow your job's gone because we got rid of the title BA. So that's been the journey that we've been taking on.
Hey, Felipe, can you detail a little bit more what an RTE is for some of the folks that may not be familiar with that term, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so I don't know if I mentioned this. We've implemented the Scaled Agile framework, right? So the SAFe framework, and through that, the Release Train Engineer (RTE) is our Scrum of Scrums. They're the leading that train and all of its elements: your product management, your product owners, your Scrum teams, all of them, to making sure that everybody is heading in the right direction. They're kind of our orchestrator if you think of a band, or your head chef if you think of a kitchen, right? They're kind of making sure that everybody is humming along and removing any obstacles that will impact the art itself.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Vinita?
Yeah, so for us at Ryder, our approach has been for the overall transformation and for these roles evolution and transformation has been organic. We chose not to implement any big bang changes or anything, and I think that really worked as we understand and as we understood at the time that the appetite of transformation from the organization with everything else going on, right? So so yeah, so the PM roles definitely changed, and I want to say it really got transformed into a more value add at the time of, with the agile practices surrounding it, and it more started centering around program management and project financials and vendor management, risk management, business case creation, stakeholder management. And I believe it became more and more critical, mission critical for the teams. So we did train all the PMs and gave them the opportunity for the Scrum Master role or stay as project managers. And so again, with that organic approach, everyone got the opportunity to kind of figure out that right path for them, and also what is the value add for the organization. So that has been kind of the approach we took, and how the PM role especially changed. Um, and again, I think the lesson learned, I would say, is partner with the PMO and drive the change, right? So transformation requires teams. It's not one person job or mission. It has to be a team mission. And I think our PMs and the entire PMO actually became our first change agents. And they really managed the change across the organization with the product owners, even with the IT leaders. We also did added Scrum Master. So we have an Agile office, which is kind of a sister group to PMO. So we did keep our Agile office like that. But both these teams complement each other, and they have their own expertise in their domain, and they complement to provide the value from the product development service that we are offering at Ryder.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to move on to the next one. Does your organization have Agile coaches? How does your organization utilize the capability of the Agile coaches? And how has the value of the Agile coaches been justified to leadership? I'm going to kind of open this one up. Who would like to volunteer for this one?
I could start, Regina.
Mm-hmm.
You don't mind?
Yeah, go for it.
So absolutely. So our transformation is organized around our Agile coaches, and the Agile coaches are part of the project office. The coaches, are the key members that have enabled and positioned us with the tool sets and the mindset. Not only position, when I say us, the project office, but the organization. So this is a full, enterprise-wide transformation, which, hopefully we touch on a little bit later in another question. But the key to our coaches is about, developing that mindset. And one of the guiding principles to our transformation team is that the entire project office are an extension of these coaches. So we have I believe we have 4 coaches right now. We will have that extension of the Scrum Masters, the program managers, the RTEs, the portfolios are continuing that scaling of coaches, and they're a key role in that. And an example is I'm sorry, but the coaches are influencers, and that's one of the things that we're constantly evolving with our existing teams. And this is hard. This has been a hard part of our journey. Is you have again, a legacy component that is transforming itself, and now you have a set of team members that are heavily influencers and becoming partners, and that is one of the key internal components that the coaches promote. We their primary areas of responsibility are organizing around and teaching, mentoring at the team level, right? So we that's one of their primary areas. Another primary area is, again, maturing and enabling the project office team members. And another, again, they wear a lot of shoes, but a third area of responsibility is transforming that mid and that mid executive C-level layer I'm going to go back to my original thing, to that culture, that agile mindset. So, I would look at them as extremely part of this transformation, with those three major areas of responsibility.
Great.
How do we justify it? At the end of the day, it was very simple, right? Results, right? So the results that we have seen as part of our transformation, it doesn't require much justification. The results speak for themselves.
Awesome. Thank you, Nestor. Roberto, did you want to add anything else?
Absolutely. No, I agree with Nestor. So in our case, I think that we are still a more early stages. And yes, we have an agile coach, and it's making the difference during this transformation. So we are not just transforming to an agile, doing an agile transformation, but also we are moving from projects to a product-oriented organization, meaning that we're changing in many other ways. We're going to be changing eventually the operating model that we have in place. So we're going to be having the coach, focusing mainly at the team level, creating the team formations, spreading the best practices among the teams and making sure they are following these practices. Just mentoring, potential coaches that we've been identifying internally, just to keep, having these internal coaches to become, actual coaches of the company. Then at the enterprise level, the coaches is really focusing just to work at the executive level, at the C level, also with the senior and mid-level management, just to make sure that the culture is from the top down and the bottom up, is really, changing or transforming in the right way. But also is helping or supporting us in the funding model that we need to have in order to become as a product organization. It's also creating the product taxonomy that we need to have in place in order to become a product-oriented organization. So it's in many ways supporting and helping, as a coach to this transformation.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, guys. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next one. This one we're going to do a little bit different. We wanted to know what agile capabilities or best practices has your PMO implemented or is thinking about implementing around planning and prioritization processes, budgeting processes, or process improvements. So I'm going to give each of you the opportunity to pick one, your favorite one. Who would like to start? Jessica, do you want to start? Oh, she's on mute. Jessica, you're on mute? Okay. Neilu, can you help unmute her?
Sure.
Yes, thank you. I've been trying to get unmuted for 5 minutes. Thank you.
Pick your favorite one. One that you feel, that has, it's related to an agile capability that you guys have already done or that you're thinking about doing, related to these three areas of processes.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, the budgeting process is the biggest one. Right now, we have POs, but the POs are being approved at an executive level based on your approval workflow, right? So they're not being tied back from a vendor management system in terms of other systems that we currently have that may have overlap. They're not tied to any type of project or program. And so there's a lot of overlap in different systems. The example I can give is that we have one LMS system with 4 different ones that do different things. And we're currently paying for these, right? So we need to figure out how we can lock this process down without creating control, right? We talked about this earlier. We don't want to create a gateway or stop you. We want to be able to move quickly and make decisions and take action immediately. So how do we build that agile capability? So right now, because we're so new in the process, we're building it. In my old world, it was waterfall. So it was very, go to a monthly committee, submit your business case, and wait till you get an approval, and then you track the OpEx and the CapEx through there. So we need to completely deconstruct that, right? And change that process. So we're trying to map the value stream right now and try to eliminate that waste. So it'll be interesting. Maybe at the end of this, I can come back and tell you how we did.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jessica. Let's see, Felipe, which one would you like to share with us?
So for us, it's really retrospectives. I think when you look at in a traditional world, we call them, project lessons learned, and we wait until the end of the project to do them. And we're really starting to implement this concept of thinking for people that our PMO is giving people tools for them to put in their tool bag as PMs, professional PMs. And the retrospective is a tool that you don't have to wait until the end of the project. If you go into our traditional tollgate phases, stop and ask the team, how are we doing? What can we do better? Right? What blockers are in our way? Anything, all those questions to help the team stay engaged, and also bringing in the business into those conversations. So that is one that we're doing. We've recently launched our process optimization maturity assessment model to help drive that and help other people to kind of think through these methods as well.
Awesome. Vinita?
Yeah, so same. I think some of the things I'm sure we have all have in common, right? So the retrospective and the MVP mindset. I mean, these are some things that scaled very, very quickly across the organization. Everyone started thinking and talking and doing, following, having that MVP mindset in not just strategic projects, but on their operational tasks also. So that's one of the, some of the things. I mean, in the last 4 years, so a lot of these capabilities have been implemented, but some of the things that I would like to share, big ones were, we really enhanced our planning and prioritization when it comes to IT investments and annual budgeting. And this time we brought the business and the IT together and sort of kind of brought some of the lean portfolio management principles and practices and conducted workshops over some days and came out with very clear and transparent roadmap of the strategic initiatives for the year, the strategic intent, the business challenges. It created a lot of education. It brought a lot of clarity, and it really improved the IT planning around it. The other thing, so the budgeting process is something, again, organic approach for us. We have been piloting agile funding model where you're funding teams and not scope of work, and with some teams. And as we are learning their lessons, as it is getting as more and more awareness and learning and comfort is being created with that type of funding, that capability is also growing and with other teams as well. So again, for us, I think the one thing that has been working for Ryder is how organically and we are bringing these changes and understanding what is the immediate value that we can provide as we continue on this transformation journey.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Nestor, did you want to add anything?
Sure. I'll take planning and prioritization for 100. I'm going to talk about the planning. I thought that was funny. Sorry, guys, I didn't hear many giggles. So I'm going to talk about a radical change, right? A radical change that we've done a lot of capabilities, a lot of agile capabilities. But one of the most, if not the most radical changes are our PI planning, our quarterly PI planning, and along with their associated, ceremonies and activities. I remember 3.5 years ago, I was SAFe certified, and I took the class, and and they showed a snippet or a video of a PI planning session, and I was like, oh yeah, right, that's going to work, right? With so many people, and bringing together all those people. And if you ever witnessed it, it is really overwhelming, and until you experience it. And we took that. I remember having the conversations with our CEO, and there was apprehension because it included executive management, and it included C-level, included 200 people, because we have a huge that's a different story, but we have a huge agile release train. It was hard. We're now on our fifth PI planning exercise. After the first one, you start having that moment, and that has been probably one of our most impactful implementations. And again, it involves our executive. They look forward to this quarterly PI planning, and to be in meetings and hear your CEO call out, hey, we need to do a PI planning type of activity for a non-business, non-IT, for business related prioritization. That's powerful. So to us, our biggest capability and our most radical one has to be our PI planning.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Roberto, did you want to add anything?
Well, actually, in our particular case at the bank, we are probably in the early stages for this, from the agile point of view, where the prioritization model that we're using is basically value versus complexity, meaning that we are just putting all the different strategic initiatives in alignment with the strategic vision of the bank, and start prioritizing using different parameters based on value or the value drivers that we defined in the bank. With the complexity of the initiatives that we are going to be, facing, just to start like a really, having the value, in place. So that is basically how we're using, and then we are having the flow, just comparing with the demand capacity in place, just to start handling some of these initiatives, and what is the funding required. So the funding, we are like also moving into a new funding model for an agile transformation, and that is also in the early stages, and completing the whole flow with the value realization model that we're having. So again, it's like in a particular case, we are just keep moving or transforming in that area.
Okay, wonderful, guys. Thank you so much for sharing. Let me move on to the next one. So this is an interesting one. How has the conversation of the value of the PMO to the organization changed as your organization has transitioned? Who wants to start with this one?
I'll start. I was having this meeting with my VP, and our PMO was known as governance. It wasn't until beginning of this year that we changed to Portfolio and Project Management Office. So we were known as governance, and that was talk about a buzzkill. Anytime we walked into a room, oh no, here comes governance, right? And we that became very impactful. So we were talking about how do we create our vision, right? You guys have heard the word a couple of times now, project to product. And what I'm in the middle of is converting a PMO from a governance really structure to being a product, right? How do we take our PMO and provide and make that as a service, center of enablement and a nucleus for information versus dictatorship? So, here's our vision that I put here is going to change the perception of the PMO from an auditor / enforcer to an advisor and a consultant, right? And that's really what we're trying to do, where people are going to start seeing us more. And I use the word evolution because transformation is always a harsh term for me, right? There's I think I still cringe anytime my executive says, hey, we're going to start this transformation, because it always leaves so many bodies behind. So for me, an evolution is more of a natural kind of we grow into than forced into. A transformation to me sounds like. So for me here is, we want to move from that administrating function that makes sure that people are crossing their T's and dotting their I's, to be more of a enabling function that we can help those two groups come together and be successful.
All right, wonderful. We got one more on this one. Who would like to add?
Can I add? No one
Go for
else?
it.
Okay. So yeah, I guess, governance is, is one way you could look at it. Our journey has taken us from, from the governance to that business contact, or, a term that we cringed at is paper pushers, right? That's what we were. We have evolved as part of this journey. We've always had some content experts and some, subject matter experts within the project office, because they've kind of been aligned within certain verticals or certain elements. But really the transformation, I know someone said, I'm sorry, was that Felipe? Doesn't like to use the word transformation. I love evolution, by the way. I think we're going to start changing our lexium there. But we've become trusted advisors, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've become, so there's a group that have become trusted advisors. Some others have become strategic discussion partners, right? And that's where we want to be, right? We don't want to just be, business contacts. We want to be strategic partners with our business. We're there this year. I mean, we're some of us are there already. This last year, as part of our PI planning, we introduced, again, was part of our transformation office, we introduced some tools into our marketing organization where we were part of their business planning with Kaizen events, with an X metrics, right? And we could get into what those are, but for those that don't know it, but that moment, third quarter, fourth quarter of last year, was a major step into us becoming fully a strategic discussion partner. We fully have already had conversations about next fiscal year planning, 2022. Can't believe I'm saying that already. 2022, where this is going to be part of our norm of our fiscal year planning. So that journey has really moved us. And again, we go back to culture and the Agile mindset.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to go ahead. I think you all have talked a little bit about your vision in some of the other questions. I'm going to kind of end it with this one, right? If you can give one piece of advice to a PMO leader who is starting or is thinking about being in an organization, or that the organization is going to start their Agile transformation or evolution journey, what would that be? What would be your piece of advice now that you guys have sort of started your journey already and you are where you're at? Who would like to take this one?
I can share mine. Go ahead, Jessica.
All right, we'll go first. Normalize the forming and storming, right? So forming, storming, norming, performing. You have to know what you're facing. Be willing to accept that. Don't try to tell people that it's supposed to, everything's going to be perfect or everything's going to be okay. Tell them that it's not going to be okay. Tell them that it's going to be ambiguous and that it's going to be a little bit difficult and there will be friction. I think once you normalize that and you accept that as par for the course, people are willing to step up and change and collaborate and help each other and see that they're on the same team as part of that evolution. Create an environment of trust. So we talked earlier about accepting failures, but what does that really mean? I've been in two types of environments where they say you can fail, but the minute 5 levels below you fail, someone's head's gonna roll. And so it creates a culture of fear. So how do you create the culture of trust and allow the failure, celebrate the failures and say, okay, great. What's the epic failure? What did you learn from that? And what can we institutionalize as a learning? And then reward good judgment and self-orientation. So make the mistake, that's fine, but don't make the same mistake twice, right? So how do you reward the people who, celebrate the failure, reward the self-orientation though? What did you quickly learn from that? And how did you teach other people what you learned from that? Adapt quickly, delegate and decentralize. We talked about that one earlier as well, and institute a wide feedback loop.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much. Vinita?
Yeah, no, so I think I kind of shared the piece of advice that I wanted to say with for the last earlier, that this transformation, evolution, definitely this is a team effort. So it, do not try to do this by yourself. It's not gonna work out. You'll need a team. We identify your change champions. They can be your PMs, they can be your newly hired agile coaches, they can be IT leaders, managers, directors, HR partners, any one of those, right? So you'll all, I think we will always find very, very passionate souls around us who are passionate about this change. So identify them and work closely with them, make them part of this journey. Also, I think sometimes what I've kind of experienced that as even as coaches, we tend to forget that the same teachings and trainings that we give to the teams to iterate should apply to our transformation, our change, right? So plan it like that. Don't expect things to happen very, very fast. Plan it in sprints. Plan it with your priority. Sometimes it can be very formal, sometimes it may be just informal, but think like that. And I think that carrying that mindset in the transformation as leading it helps a lot, because it helps us set the expectations with the organization that we are working with. So I think, I'll leave with that.
Awesome. No, that's a great ending. Thank you so much. I think, Rick, I know we've got 10 minutes left. Yes?
No, I just wanted to leave. I wanted to build on Benita, if you don't mind. I know I talk a lot, but you know me by now. I just wanted to leave, if there was one thing I wanted to leave with, and it builds on Benita, right? You have to bring the entire organization with you. And the champion, it's got to be at the top. You have to bring that level with you. It cannot be an IT PMO transformation. And once you achieve that, that C level, it's not about pushing things out. It's more about enabling an environment where your organization wants to start pulling. So I just want to leave with that one, because that's something that I know unequivocally has been the success to our evolution.
All right, wonderful. Wow.
Yeah.
I am so grateful for all of you. This has been amazing. I know, Rick, it's 7:20. I think we hit it on the dot. I don't know if we have time for any audience questions, or if you want to do a closing.
Well, we might, but just so that we get the audience, does everybody hear me okay? Just want to make sure they didn't mute me.
Yes.
All right, so just to know that if there is questions, we will be able to address them later on, okay? Because we do want to make sure we follow a good time box here. Amazing, like I am so humbled, because we actually had an opportunity to work with each team here, and you guys have surpassed, all the initial, view of how much you would achieve. So just really grateful that you guys are getting back to the community. This is very humbling that you shared your learnings with us, but I don't want you to stop here. I'm challenging you guys to do more, right? The community needs you, and you guys are leaders. So I'm going to ask you guys to come back at certain events, and maybe we'll have one spotlighting your organization. But these are the kind of things that we do on a regular basis that we should continue doing. So I'm going to give Marcelo maybe one. Marcelo, just because of time.
Okay.
Can you give me one question that you might want to ask the group?
Okay. They're all great questions, and we want to say thank you to those who provided them. But I think the one I'm going to choose is, do you also have discovery phrases into the PMO structure, or is this all about delivery? And that's open-ended.
We have, so in our organization, we have an assessment model that allows us to kind of go do that discovery with lean and mean. We don't put a lot of overhead over it, meaning artifacts and things like that. But kind of in Ty's leaders to say, hey, it doesn't sound like you're very confident that you know what you want here. So use our assessment model to kind of go through that. And through that, and actually next week, we'll be teaching customer journey mapping, how to introduce doing customer journey map, how to do personas, even if it's not an agile project, how to use those tools to kind of get through that discovery phase.
Wonderful.
So to follow up on that as well, we've introduced over the last year an innovation office, right? And it's right now it's 3 individuals, and a lot of our business investments that we're not really sure on from a business perspective go through this innovation office, and there's a modeling that takes place. There's a proof of concept that gets very light and lean. There's various tools that they use, but we too have introduced an innovation office to address that.
Cool.
And I know that a lot of organizations are doing design thinking as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of that. And I've heard that some are doing design thinking in sprints.